What if Deku joined Team JPDE? Chapter 35. Double Bunny Troubles. Monday. Day 106. Well then, students. I think we can officially declare our latest trip to Peak a complete success, Peach said. I'd say. We've managed to open a direct path into the city. No more skulking around, David said. We've managed to find a safe house. Even if it's mostly just safe because of that little girl's OCD. Whoever she is, Evelyn said. I swear, it's like I'm a magnet for troublesome brats. This one controls pyro-obsidian, Titania said. But we've shown her creation what we're made of and that we're not pushovers, Deku said. We've also even made some steps into deciphering the mystery of Peak, Penny said. Provided we manage to decipher the medical journal Peach found, Jack said. You just leave that to me, children. I'll get on it as soon as, Peach said. Oh, I think that's going to wait quite a bit, Professor Peach, Glinda said. Professor Goodwitch, what? What a surprise to have you here waiting for us, Peach said. Oh, it's the least I could do after reading your statically delayed reports about your activities in Peak, Professor Peach, Glinda said. Professor Goodwitch, I assure you they were under careful supervision, Peach said. And that's of course supposed to make everything okay, isn't it, Glinda yelled. Meep, Peach said. Pfft, oh wow. I've never seen her so whipped before. Who's that, Titania asked, whispering. That's Professor Goodwitch, our combat class teacher and the vice headmistress of Beacon, David said. Breaking into no man's land. Enlisting the help of transfer students. Fights with unidentified life forms. And randomly adopting teenage girls, Glinda said. Wait, what, Titania asked. Well, by the authority invested in you by the Kingdom of Vale, Peach said. That's not the, Glinda shouted. Just come talk to me. Also, it's a pleasure to meet you, Titania. Welcome back everyone, Glinda said. Right. Yo, Titania said. You go all rest up while I speak with my old friend. If the past reports are anything to go by, this time you should have fought a giant monster, Glinda said. Team Jade, Titania and Peach just stood there in silence. Glinda exhaled. I don't even want to know, Glinda said. You don't, Peach asked. Of course I do, Glinda shouted. Glinda then started to walk off with Peach. But you said, Peach said. She adopted me, Titania asked. Well, eventually they would have started asking questions. You do live in her quarters, after all, Jack said. Oh, I bet that she didn't put where you really came from in the report. This is the perfect cover-up, Evelyn said. Though I wonder how exactly she spun the tale, then David said. Congratulations, Titania, Penny said. I don't know if you give congratulations for stuff like this, Titania said. Team Jade then decided to return to their dorm, with one exception. Deku had offered to grab some food for everyone. After getting some snack, Deku made his way to the dormitory. Izuku. A moment, if you please, Weiss said. Hello, Weiss. Good afternoon, Deku said. Good afternoon. Sorry to be a bother, Weiss said. You're never a bother, Weiss. What's on your mind, Deku asked. Well, I don't think we should discuss it here. Let's go somewhere more private, Weiss said. You know. You can just ask if you want to spend time alone with me, Deku said. Oh, I know. Like you'd ever refuse my company. But my world doesn't revolve around you, dear, Weiss said. Weiss then led Deku into her dorm room. This isn't that private, Deku said. They're going to be out of the room for the next hour or so. Now shush, Weiss said. So, what's on your mind, Deku asked. In one word. Pennywise said. Talk about a growth spurt, am I right, Deku said. To say the least. And I can't help but worry that It wasn't natural, Weiss said. What do you mean by that? Deku asked. Well, in Atlas they've started, in recent years, experimenting with body corrective surgery. I've seen more than one elite woman with it, but the results are not always genuine looking, Weiss said. Well, Penny seems pretty genuine to me, Deku said. And I guess you would know better than anyone, Weiss said. Deku blushed at her bluntness and gave a nervous laugh and rubbed the back of his head. Indeed, Penny doesn't show any signs of corrective surgery. No scars, no stretched skin, no strangely colored areas, Weiss said. Well, as far as I know, she didn't go through any kind of corrective surgery, Deku said. Still, considering her father is Enrico Polendina, maybe it's a new kind of process she underwent, Weiss said. Well, maybe. But what's your point? Deku asked. My point? Nothing. I guess I just was curious, yes. Also maybe a bit worried because, as I said, that kind of surgery isn't exactly foolproof yet, you know, Weiss said. Okay, seriously, Weiss. What's on your mind? Deku asked. Nothing on my mind. Anyway, sorry for prying. I'll leave you alone now, Weiss said. Weiss kissed Deku on the cheek. Ta-ta, Weiss said, leaving the room. Weiss then came back into the room. Actually, this is my room, so Weiss said. I'll see you later, Deku said. Deku then left the room and started to wonder what was that all about. After returning to his room and thinking everything over, he thought it best to tell Penny about what happened. So, Penny, Weiss has been asking about your growth spurt. I think, Deku said. You think she wants elucidations about my upgrade? Penny asked. She doesn't know it was one, so let's try and keep that kind of terminology unused, Deku said. Right. Anyway, what was she asking about, specifically? Penny asked. Everything and nothing. She mentioned that cosmetic surgery being used in Atlas, but she wasn't exactly accusing you of doing something like that, Deku said. Oh, I see. Of course, considering the average company kept in Atalsian high society, it's no wonder she'd know about such trends. But you say she doesn't believe I underwent such operation? Penny asked. Yeah. She doesn't completely believe that your sudden transformation was natural, but she doesn't believe you got surgeries either, Deku said. That must be because my body doesn't exhibit the usual aesthetical signs of it, Penny said. Yes, but if it isn't worry that drives her, can it be simple curiosity? I've tried prying but she just dropped the subject, Deku said. Oh. Curious. Such a reaction indicates that further discussion of the matter would shed some unwanted light on her, instead of me. And if she wouldn't tell you, despite your relationship, Penny said. I know, Deku said. I do, Penny said. Yes, Penny, Deku asked. Are you pondering what I'm pondering? Penny asked. I think so, Penny. But where are we going to find a truckload of strawberries? Deku asked. In the hallways of Beacon. Ah, thanks the gods that's over. I think the last time you rode my ass this hard anything we were still in a team together, Peach said. You didn't leave me much of a choice, Violet, Glinda said. I know. But as I said, Glinda, these aren't risks that those kids can avoid taking, Peach said. Looks like it, Glinda said. I'm not happy about it, either. A world where adults have to rely on children is an upside-down existence. But I can at least offer them new full support. And allow them the grace of defending themselves, Peach said. I will have to inform Ozpin of this, Glinda said. Oh, I know. But I bet he will be more than happy to allow this to go on, since it moves the focus of everything away from Beacon and into a remote, isolated region of the world. And my adoption process secured Titania from any claim he might want to make about her, Peach said. She survived 10 years in Peak, alone. I can't believe it, Glinda said. I wouldn't call being stuck in a blob of pyro-obsidian for all those years surviving. She doesn't even remember if she was that age when it happened, Peach said. An entire city gone. Violet, if you ever need any kind of support during your investigations, I want you to come to me, not some other random students, Glinda said. But that would leave nothing for the students to do, Peach said. Good, Glinda said. Hey. They need experience, it's all I'm saying. Fancy a cuppa before bed, Peach asked. Oh, I'd be glad to, but I think someone else you should explain yourself to, first, Glinda said. What are you, Peach asked. Peach then saw Titania standing and waiting. Titania. Is there something wrong, Peach asked. Nah, Titania said. So? What are you doing here, Peach asked. Was waiting for you, Titania said. Why, Peach asked. Oh, I don't know, okay. I don't. I have no idea what to do, now. I don't know what a daughter is supposed to do. Most of my memories are those of a dick, and his father was even worse, Titania said. Titania, Peach said. Ah, forget it. It's stupid. I'm stupid, Titania said. Nothing stupid about it, Titania. And there's really only one thing a daughter is supposed to do for her parents, Peach said. Just one, Titania asked. Just one, Peach said. And what is that, Titania asked. Live long, live happy and become an adult you can be proud of, Peach said. I think I can do that, Titania said. Tuesday. Day 107. How did your first day as a daughter go, Titania Jack asked. Same as all the other ones. Still, slept on the couch and she can't cook at all, so breakfast in the cafeteria as usual. She did leave me some pocket money, though, Titania said. Welcome to the club of money owners. You'd better make it count, Evelyn said. Oh, it's nowhere near the amount needed for a spending spree, believe me. I was thinking about saving up for a potted plant, though. Maybe a cactus, they're easier to maintain in an apartment, Titania said. You've been reading up on plants, huh, David asked. What is I have, Titania asked. There's nothing wrong with liking plants, Titania, Deku said. Maybe you could do with some new clothes, though. You can't wear your battle clothes all the time, Penny said. Why not? It's not like they stain, Titania said. You'll see why. Leave it to the Bunmeister, Evelyn said. Measurements already recorded, Bunmeister, Penny said. Alright, let's talk wardrobes later. We've got lunch to think of and that other thing, Jack said. Yeah. Peach says she will be done translating everything by tomorrow. It's only a matter of deciphering the code, then she can just read it live, Titania said. Ah. I completely forgot about asking you and your father to create a key for the journal, Penny, Deku said. Well. I did distract you a lot. Anyway, Professor Peach doesn't seem to mind, Penny said. Once she's done deciphering it, we could count it as your first bedtime story, Titania, David said. Okay, that's quite enough of that, Titania said. Oh, maybe we can get a teddy bear before a new outfit, Penny said. Don't think for a second I won't kick you through the ceiling, redhead Titania shouted. For the love of gods, no. We've barely finished patching up the last hole, a cook yelled. Pyrrha then came over to them. Hey, Izuku, Pyrrha said. Hello, Pyrrha. Do you need something, Deku asked. I do. Once you have finished, could you please come with me to my dorm room, Pyrrha asked. Oh, sure. I shouldn't be long, Deku said. Thanks, Pyrrha said, as she made her way out of the mess hall. Deku turned back to the others, only to see them giving him a look. What, Deku asked. Pyrrha has just invited you to her dorm. Along, Evelyn said. Even I know where this is going, Titania said. Come on guys. Remember, she has eyes for Jang, Deku said. Statistically speaking, most people who have a hard time getting a crush to notice their feels find someone else, Penny said. I'm sure Pyrrha isn't like that. You don't gain the title of the invincible girl by giving up when things get tough, Deku said. Well, maybe this will be the first time Pyrrha is ever defeated, David said. Very funny guys. This is just probably about her next attempt to get Jang to notice her, Deku said. If that's so, why did she only ask to meet with you, Penny asked. First, she probably doesn't want Jang to overhear. And second, her teammates would probably think she needs help if she was seen talking to all of us at once, Deku said. That still doesn't explain why she wants to talk to you, Evelyn asked. Maybe she's already lost interest in Jang, Penny said. Okay. I'm gonna go now, Deku said. Bring that champion cake home, Evelyn said. Deku then left the mess hall and headed for Team JNPR's room. On the other side of the mess hall, Ren and Nora had noticed that Pyrrha went to talk with Deku and then left, and then soon after Deku left. What's going on, Nora asked. What are you talking about, Jang asked. Pyrrha went to talk with Izuku, and now they've both left, Ren said. She probably just wants to talk with him. Nothing special there, Jang said. Nothing special. Jang, Nora said. Ren then put his hand over Nora's mouth. You're right, Jang. What Pyrrha does is her own business, Ren said. Deku had now arrived at Team JNPR's room. So, what is it that you want to talk about, Deku asked. Do you remember our triple date, Pyrrha asked. Do I even? It was the only time I've ever seen you mad. You were really pissed off, Deku said. It really did piss me off that he thought I was jealous of Evelyn and Penny. Why would he ever think that? It was clear that it was a triple date. How did he not pick up on that, Pyrrha asked. I don't know. But this has made it much harder for you to get him to confess when he thinks you like someone else, Deku said. I know, which is why I'm about to do this, Pyrrha said. Do what, Deku asked. To make him jealous, Pyrrha said. You really think that's going to work, Deku asked. It has to work. I don't know what I'm going to do if it doesn't, Pyrrha said. Well, there is just being straightforward with him, and tell him how you feel, Deku said. I'm not sure that'll even work. He'll probably just see it a platonic love, Pyrrha said. Well then. How do you plan on making him jealous, Deku asked. Well, as a celebrity, I'm asked to do a lot of photo shoots. In fact, I have a photo shoot coming up, but Pyrrha said. But what, Deku asked. Well, in this shoot I'll be working with a male celebrity, but unfortunately, he is unable to attend. So, they asked me if I could bring a male friend along as a stand-in, Pyrrha said. Wait. You want me to be the stand-in? But why not, Jang? This could be the perfect time for you two to get closer, Deku said with a blush. But he'll just see this as a favor. He's always one to help out when he can. Just like you, Pyrrha said, saying that last bit quietly to herself. I didn't quite catch that last bit, Deku said. Oh, it wasn't important. So, will you do it, Pyrrha asked. Sure. I'll do anything for you, Deku said, which caused Pyrrha to blush. Thank you. I'll let them know I've found someone, and I'll call you when it's time, Pyrrha said. Okay. I'll see you around, Deku said. See you, Pyrrha said. Deku then left JNPR's room and head back to his own. That was fast. Did you use your quirk on her, Evelyn asked. Unlikely. The whole dormitory would have heard them if that was the case. Unless you also used Black Whip on her to keep her quiet, Penny said. We did not have sex. She just asked me to be her partner in a photo shoot in hopes of making Jang jealous, Deku yelled. A photo shoot? You're having a photo shoot with Pyrrha Nikos? Do you know how many people would kill to just be on site at her photo shoots, Evelyn asked. Oh. I can't wait to see you in matching outfits. You two would look just like a couple then, Penny said. Calm down, girls. It's just a photo shoot. We're not gonna do anything like what you're thinking, Deku said. Penny and Evelyn just smiled at each other. If you say so, the two of them said. Deku and Evelyn had gone into Vale. Even though they had put their argument behind them, there was one thing that was still bothering him. The thing that confuses me the most is that you went from zero to hero in no time flat, Deku said. Copyright infringement, says what Evelyn asked. Wait, how do you know about Hercules, Deku asked. Who, Evelyn asked. He's a mythological character who... Oh, never mind. Anyway, I mean, you didn't exactly seem obsessed with the thought before Andrea popped up again. But now, Deku said. I think I was repressing it somewhat. Also, it helped that I had no idea what happened to Andrea nor where he went. Never really had time to elaborate my feelings about him the way I did the death of my family, Evelyn said. Guess it must have been pretty shocking, Deku said. To put it lightly. Penny's father had brought back up some of the memories, but I never realized how much I despise Andrea until I found him in front of me once again, Evelyn said. HMPH, Deku said. What's funny, Evelyn asked. This is probably the most focused and non-random I've ever seen you at, Deku said. Not exactly in a joking mood when discussing this kind of stuff, Evelyn said. Maybe you should, though, Deku said. What do you mean I should, Evelyn asked. Remember when you told me there's trope about your current situation? Well, you're actually walking into one right now. The obsessing over vengeance so much that it starts harming them trope, Deku said. I'm not obsessing over vengeance, Evelyn said. Hence why I said walking into one. Just want to nip this in the bud, Deku said. You're a pest, Evelyn said. Just worried. I just want you to feel comfortable in talking to me about anything. And Penny, David and Jack are here for you as well, so don't feel like you have to keep us from your thoughts. Especially your darkest ones, Deku said. What? You want to hear about all the ways I've been thinking of to creatively murder Andrea, Evelyn asked. Deku's face fell. Oh. Sorry. I shouldn't have, Evelyn said. You know what? Sure, Deku said. If you say so, but don't say I didn't warn you, Evelyn said. Evelyn then began to tell Deku about all the creative ways she planned on murdering Andrea. Looking kind of green around the gills there, love, Evelyn said. Gee, I wonder why, Deku said. Told you. I have a very deep knowledge of human and grim anatomy, Evelyn said. That's putting it lightly. Personal interest, Deku asked. Nah, training, Evelyn said. Oh, right. You work for Ozpin, Deku said. Yeah, the grey-haired asshole recruited me and Jack when we were kids. The training he had us go through was suited to our fighting styles and semblances, since those are what got him interested in us in the first place. In my case, it was all to make a bunny assassin, since I can't do much property damage, Evelyn said. He molded you into a silent weapon to take out people he needs, Deku said. Yeah. It didn't take me long to realize what he wanted out of me, Evelyn said. I'm gonna regret this, but... How many people, Deku said. Oh, enough about that, already. Tell me more about the thing you want to do with my tail and femur, a voice said. Both Evelyn and Deku immediately recognized the voice. Andrea was now stood before them. What the hell are you doing here, Deku asked. Hey, stud. Glad to see you again, Andrea said. Do not call me that, Deku shouted. As for what, I was taking a walk, mooching ice cream off passers-by with my cute dimples. When I saw you and overheard you, and wow, Evelyn, such creativity. Such passion. But seriously. Out with it. What about the femurs, Andrea asked. Fuck off, Evelyn said. Oh, wow, you're not jumping me claws out, Andrea asked. We're in public. And after realizing you like blood and gore, I'm suddenly feeling very zen and shit, Evelyn said. Or, come on, being outside just makes it more exciting. As long as you finish inside, Andrea said. Stop it, Deku said. Make me. But bigger men have tried, Andrea said. Stop it, Evelyn said. Well, they were adults, though. I'm sure you'll grow into it, handsome, Andrea said. Stop it, Evelyn and Deku shouted. You two are an adorable couple, Andrea laughed. Your approval fills me with disgust, Evelyn said. Or, it can't be that much of it. Compliments by your betters are supposed to be eponymous with flattery, Andrea said. That is not what eponymous means, Deku said. And there's nothing you're better than me in, Evelyn said. What? Is too, Andrea said. Ah, right, I guess you've got double ends on your hair. Wouldn't call it a betterment, Evelyn said. My hair is fabulous and properly cared for, thank you very much. And I was more thinking about the fact that I've never killed anyone, Andrea said. You're lying, Evelyn said. I don't need to, Andrea said. You. That cannot be true. I refuse, Deku said. Oh, the look on your faces. Let me clarify, it's not that I'm not willing. But I've never needed to. Why kill when you can persuade, seduce, steal? Killing just brings unnecessary attention down on you, Andrea said. You're lying, Evelyn yelled. Evelyn, Deku said. Believe what you want. Point still stands. And considering your reaction. I wonder, Evelyn. What's your body count, Andrea asked, activating his semblance. You, Evelyn said, beginning to cry. Me, Andrea laughed. Evelyn then ran off. Evelyn, Deku called out. Typical. Can dish out mind games but can't handle them, Andrea said. You. What is it that you want from her, Deku asked. Nothing, really, Andrea said. The hell do you mean nothing? You call that nothing, Deku asked. No, I call that payback for my lack of story time, Andrea said. You're insane, Deku said. You want to stick it in crazy, then, Andrea said. Absolutely fucking not, Deku said. Deku then chased after Evelyn. That was fun. But now I'm all alone again. And bored. Huff should have kept that going a little longer, Andrea said. Deku had missed the bullhead Evelyn was on, and the next bullhead for Beacon was scheduled for the next 30 minutes. Deku then quickly took off back into Vale and headed towards the cliff Beacon stood upon. Even though the time saved wasn't much, it was still better than waiting for the bullhead in Deku's mind. As he made it to Beacon, he called Jack. She locked herself on the balcony. Oh my god, Deku said. Last time she did that was when when Bella, Jack said. I'll be right there, Deku said. Deku then quickly made his way to his dorm room. Penny, David and Jack were all waiting inside. You met with her cousin, David asked. Yes, Deku said. How? What did she do, Penny asked. Oh, whatever. Just mind games. Apparently, the guy never killed anyone, Deku said. I don't understand. Why would her cousin never taking a life be a matter of, Penny said. Because both me and Evelyn have killed someone before, remember, Jack said. Oh. Right, Penny said. I know you two have never killed anyone who was innocent, but Deku said. A kill is a kill. Innocent or not. It hardly matters, Jack said. Is it their nature? Or is it the actions that define someone, Penny said. That's the crux of it. Is killing worse than betrayal? Is killing wrong? And if it isn't, who is worth of being killed? As traumatic as the experience must have been for Evelyn, Andrea's crime was simply making an arrogant, egotistical choice, and not caring about his family. I doubt that counts as enough reason for killing him, Jack said. But the Grimm inside of him, David said. They may be in symbiosis, but they are not the same being, Deku said. I think Evelyn just assumed Andrea would have grown up to become a horrible person. But he may not be horrible enough to kill, Jack said. And when Evelyn realized that may be the case, Penny said. The four stood there in silence. What a situation. I don't know what Penny said. Ijuku. Mind coming out here, Evelyn asked. Go, Penny said. Right now, David said. Already there, Deku said. Deku then came out onto the balcony. Evelyn, Deku said. Down here, Evelyn said. Evelyn was sitting on the floor, looking at the surroundings through the parapet of the balcony. Her hat and jacket were nowhere in sight. So, what do you think, Evelyn asked. I don't really know. I mean, I know you have. Our main goals as hunters is to fight Grimm, but we've been fight more people than Grimm, so far. I'm not sure if it comes to kill or be killed, if I could do it. But I don't think any less of you right now than I did earlier, Evelyn. And neither does Penny or David, I'm sure of it, Deku said. I figured. But I still really want to hurt Andrea. And I still wanna kill the Grimm inside of him, Evelyn said. I know. But hey, killing is not the only option. Maybe we can cover him in puppies, Deku said. Evelyn laughed. She then got up and hugged Deku. Phew. Now I feel better, Evelyn said. Glad you do. Silly bunny, Deku said. Sorry for worrying you. So, Evelyn said. Can't you just enjoy the hug, Deku asked. Hugs are nice. But thing is, I do. I mean, I'm not, Evelyn said. Perfect. Neither am I, Deku said. No one is, but thing is. I hate not being able to explain myself, Evelyn said. Evelyn, no. It doesn't bother me that my girlfriend has killed people, Deku said. Not even a little bit, Evelyn asked. Only if you plan to kill me to get the kids in the divorce, Deku said. Hey. Already thinking about marriage, Evelyn asked. Better to think about that than wondering what my girlfriend's body count is, Deku said. You're awful, Evelyn said. And you're stupid for thinking I would hate you for the people you've killed. I don't care about them. I care about you, Deku said. Cold, Buster, Evelyn said. Just being honest. Okay, maybe I'm lying a bit, Deku said. Wednesday. Day 108. It was now time for the rematch with Coco, Velvet and Yaitsu. Deku, Penny and David arrived at the amphitheater. However, instead of Yaitsu being there, it was Fox. Good evening, everyone, Penny greeted. Hey guys, Velvet said. Hey, guys, Deku said. Hello, boy toy. Oh, Fox. I was not expecting to see you here, David said. I didn't expect to be here either, Fox said. Then why are you here, and where is Yaitsuhashi, Deku asked. Unfortunately, Yaitsuhashi had something come up and had to cancel, so I'm here in his place, Fox said. I see. So I'll be going up against you, Deku said. Yes. Bring your best, Fox said. I always do, Deku said. You two are already in the fighting spirit. I like it. Now all we need is Professor Peach's commentary, without it it's not the same thing, Coco said. Oh. In that case, would you like us to ask her to, Penny said. Penny, no, please, David said. I'm sure she wouldn't say no, Penny said. And that's the problem, David said. This is going to be fun, Red. Now, let's move to the sturdier area of the amphitheater. I got some frustrations to vent, Coco said. Coco. Yaitsu said he's going to make you repave on your own, next time, Velvet said. He wouldn't, Coco said. You sure you want to find out, Fox asked. Come on, David. Let's move away, Velvet said. David and Velvet then headed to the other side of the amphitheater. Hey, don't leave me hanging like that. I just had my nails done, Coco said. I suggest we move too and prepare to battle, Penny said. Oh, I don't need to prepare, Red Coco said. Penny and Coco then left Deku and Fox alone. So, wanna get coffee? Fox asked. Sure, Deku said. The two then left the amphitheater without the others noticing. This should be far enough. Don't want to get caught in the storm of bullets. I doubt Coco will be able to hold back against Penny, Velvet said. Thanks for your consideration. But you did hold back against Penny, no? You told her as much, David said. Yes, but that was different, Velvet said. It's fine. So will be this, David said. Ha, Velvet said. Before going to the amphitheater, David had asked Penny and Deku for a strategy to fight Velvet. It wasn't constant, but at times her movements were identical to those of other people I know. Weiss, Young. Even Jack and you, Izuku, Penny said. You mean stances and the like, David asked. And guards and strikes and footwork. Even their openings. Too perfect for being simple imitation, Penny said. So, unless she's very dedicated into integrating other people fighting styles into her own, like me. It must be her semblance, Deku said. Indeed. I think her semblance allows her to copy the body language of people. It's a process in sciences called photographic reflexes, Penny said. Okay. So how am I supposed to push a master of hand-to-hand combat to pull out her weapon even when you beating her, and Deku flinging her didn't work, David asked. Well, if losing didn't work. What about frustrating her, Penny asked. And how am I supposed to do that when she can change her fighting still in an instant, David asked. Well, Evelyn is hardly ever hit in combat class, Deku said. I see. That will work, David said. David then crushed fire dust crystals in his gauntlets and activated Evelyn's inspiration. He then backed up. You just backed yourself into a wall, Velvet said. Yup, David said. But why, Velvet asked. Come find out, David said. On the other side of the amphitheater, Penny and Coco were having an intensive fight. Well, I'll be. You're pretty good, Penny, Coco said. You too, Coco. You're a much more enjoyable challenge than Velvet, Penny said. Speaking of my bub bun. I mean, Velvet is no slouch. Not even I can beat her in hand-to-hand, Coco said. Oh my. Deja vu, Penny thought. We came up with a plan to force Velvet to step up. David may not be able to beat her in a straight one-on-one, but first, by placing his back against a wall, David can reduce Velvet's available radius of attack by half, limit the ways she can come at him. Then, using his semblance, David can anticipate Velvet's attacks. And lastly, David is actually using his weapon. His gauntlets are specifically made for hand-to-hand, so rushing in will make her open to a counter-attack, Penny said. Oh, man. That hurt to watch, Coco said. Ah, Velvet said. So, are you going to use your weapon anytime soon? Because I'm not moving from this spot, David said. No, this is fine. I can, Velvet said. Show Coco how many bad decisions you have left in you today, David asked. What, Velvet said. What about your pride? Got none. This is going to be the second first year who's going to stomp your ass, and I'm the closest thing to a total amateur you can find, David said. Why are you saying that, Velvet asked. Because, I realized that for good or bad, you expect people to do everything for you. Including taking the blame when you resent not having spoken up, David said. I do not, Velvet yelled. Really? Then have you ever told Coco, David asked. No. Because I didn't want to inconvenience her, Velvet said. And it was still your decision. No right to blame others, David said. Was this also part of the plan, Coco asked. Not exactly, Penny said. And no right to lament your fate with her. A new set of clothes isn't going to change anything if you're going to choose not to wear them because you think you need to ask permission, David said. Velvet said. So, what's it going to be, Velvet? Are you going to keep making yourself a captive in your own world? Or are you going to do something about it, David asked, deactivating Evelyn's inspiration. Velvet smirked. She then took a picture of David with the flash on. Sweet merciful gods, my eyes, David shouted. You asked for it, Velvet said. Well, I'll be. You actually managed to. What the, David said. Wow. I did exactly like you. How did this happen, Velvet asked. David and Velvet were currently tied up in a light construct of David's whip. David's mouth was covered by the whip. Why did it end up like this, Velvet asked. David tried to speak but he couldn't. Because a whip doesn't care what you want it to do. It does what it wants to do, Deku said. Aren't you supposed to ask him out first before you try bondage, Fox asked. Ijuku, Penny said. Fox. What are you two, Coco asked. It was only known that they had realized that Deku and Fox were on the battleground. Up in the stands, Fox said. The four looked to see Deku and Fox with a cup of coffee and wearing black tinted glasses. You went and got coffee, Penny asked. And are those my glasses, Coco asked. Can you help us out first? Please? The time limit is a long time away, Velvet said. Oh, right, Coco said. Coco and Penny then helped get David and Velvet get free. While Deku and Fox came down, as soon as they entered the battleground, Coco immediately took her glasses back. I guess we'll call this a draw, then Coco said. Yes. I had fun, Coco. I'd love to have another spa, Penny said. Hit me whenever, Coco said. I'm gonna pass. I'm currently terrified of the both of you, David said. I'm sorry, David, Velvet said. Hey, now. I'm just joking, David said. We'll see you guy around. Good night. And Velvet, Deku said. Yes, Ijuku, Velvet asked. Take David lesson to heart. Don't let up, Deku said. Hey, it's actually your lesson, David said. But you're the one who taught it to her, Deku said. David and Deku then began to argue about who taught the lesson as the left. That was enigmatic, Coco said. Coco, Velvet asked. Yes, Velvet. What is it, Coco asked. Can I talk to you about something, Velvet asked. Of course, Bub Bun. About anything, Coco said. I'll leave you two alone, then Fox said, starting to leave. Hold on a second, Fox. How was that coffee break, Coco asked. It was nice. I like Ijuku's voice, Fox said. Fox then left the amphitheater. Deku was now currently in Vale. His team had realized that they didn't have any food for dinner tonight, so Deku went off into Vale to get some food for tonight. As he was walking to the Bullhead Landing, he saw someone who looked a lot like Pyrrha. Pyrrha, Deku asked. There we go again. All redheads look the same to your city boys, how the woman said. What, Deku said. Always the same darn thing. Pyrrha here, Pyrrha there, we get it, fella. She's a celebrity, the woman said. Ha, no, wait, Deku said. She ain't the only tall redhead in the whole darn world, though, the woman said. Okay, no, I'm sorry. I'm just a friend of hers and... I didn't mean to offend you, Deku said. A friend of Pyrrha, Nikos, the woman asked. Yes. I'm a hunter in training and I also go to Beacon. She's a good friend and I've helped her out a lot, Deku said. You could have just apologized instead of marking stuff up, the woman said. I'm not, Deku said. Sure you ain't. What's your name, fella? The woman asked. Deku sighed, he wasn't going to be able to convince her. I'm Izuku. Izuku Midori are. And you are? Deku asked. Pythia Delphis. Nice to meet you. Don't even think about it, Pythia said. Seriously? You want to talk about every redhead isn't Pyrrha, but your names start the same, Deku said. Typical city boy. No manners whatsoever, Pythia said. Well, at least I have enough manners to not shout at people in the middle of the street, Deku said. Oh me gosh, talk about looking like a country hick, ha, Pythia said. If you say so, Deku said. Ye were supposed to correct me, you oaf, Pythia said. Says who? Deku asked. Says me, Pythia said. Let's change the subject. Where are you from? Deku asked. Mistral. And you? Pythia asked. Mujutafu, Deku said. Never heard of it. Where is it? Pythia asked. It's a small remote village located in the northern mountains of Anima, Deku said. It's no place I've ever heard before, Pythia said. Well, I did say it was remote. Not a lot of people travel through our village. Anyway, Miss Pythia, are you new in town? Deku asked. Yeah, kind of. Ye want to show me around? Pythia asked. Okay, sure. Though what's with the sudden change just after that exchange? Deku asked. Hey, you came on at me in the first place. Thought you'd be happy, Pythia said. I wasn't coming on to you, Deku said. Right. You were coming on to your friend Pyrrha, Pythia said. Neither, Deku said. Whatever you say, Izuku. So do you want to show me around or not? Pythia asked. I already agreed, so yes. But not tonight, Deku said. Got a short chain on you, huh? That's fine. Gimme your scroll number, then, Pythia said. The two then exchanged numbers and then Deku headed back to Beacon. End of chapter 35.